Hi, everybody. It's Dina at the Realize Foundation, and I have another special guest for you today. And his name is Chip Webster, and he's a seasoned leader, entrepreneur, and advocate for civic engagement. As a former president of Vistage, Florida, he spent over 25 years mentoring CEOs and driving business growth, and is the current chairman of the board for Tampa Bay Watch. Beyond the corporate world, he recently founded Unity in Service, Inc., a nonprofit dedicated to rebuilding trust through volunteerism and civic action. His latest book, Unity in Service: A Pathway to Responsible Citizenship, explores how service can bridge divides and strengthen democracy. Chip continues to mentor young entrepreneurs and champion the power of responsible citizenship. So, welcome, Chip. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. I would love for you to start by telling us about your book.
Okay. The book is a result of reading a lot of research, a result of taking 5 loops around the United States in my RV, going to 37 states. And I'd been to every state but North Dakota before we decided to take the trip, and that was motivated by COVID. My wife and I were still working somewhat, and we decided to see our kids who were literally in all 4 corners. We stopped working and buy an RV and see the USA. And it was a wonderful time. It was an enlightening time to see the different places that I've always wanted to see. But the part that I actually enjoyed the most was learning about how people are thinking around the country. You'd stop at an RV park, you talk to a few people, you listen to what they're thinking about. And that was really the catalyst to get me to finish the book. The idea had always been in my mind for years, but it's okay, it's time to do this. And the reason for the book is if you look at the research, trust has eroded in this country dramatically. At one time, we trusted hospitals at about 80%. Now it's less than 40%. And it goes on banks, schools, name it. Trust is way down. And the fundamental of every relationship is trust. And so my passion is that by people working together in community projects, um, we can break down the barriers, because I think you might have noticed in your life, we're in silos. Many of us have friends who won't speak to us or shy away from us because we have different political views. That's not healthy. And unfortunately, if you look at the news and hear what's going on, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. So my passion is that we break down these barriers by working together on projects that are greater than us, bigger than us. I think we all like to be part of something that's significant in people's lives and making a difference. And I think doing that, and this has been my experience through my career and my nonprofit projects like Tampa Bay Watch, that there are people with different views politically, but at the end of the day, we all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves and make a positive impact. And I think doing that together starts to dissolve the differences that I think politicians and the media want to exacerbate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And the fun fact, when I was in my first year of college, it was it was 89, 88, 89. Um, my parents sold everything they owned and bought an RV.
Oh, really?
They came and got me in Colorado, and we went to 33 states and 4 provinces that year.
Oh, fabulous.
And so I've been to 49 states, but I'm missing Hawaii.
Well, get there. There's an airplane warming up at the tarmac, ready to go.
I know, that's awesome. I know I caught you off guard by asking you to talk about your book first, but I just didn't want to forget to ask you about it. So,
Well, I just a little cheap promotion. Unity and Service, the Pathway to Responsible Citizenship on Amazon.
that's awesome. Um,
And if you like it, write a nice thing about it.
yeah, absolutely. I love the concept. We do need more community. I talk about that all the time in my nonprofit. It's like conversations in community is what makes the world go around and keeps people from feeling alone and lacking hope.
Yeah, and in the book, I start out with why tribes exist. I think it's, we need to go back, why do we exist? And I talk about life cycles of democracy. And you get to choose where you think we are on the life cycles. I think we're in an unhealthy place, but it can be turned around. And the only people that can turn around are citizens. I can remember talking to some people about the country, and hey, how's it going? You could talk where you're from, and then you get into not directly into politics, but how do you think we're doing? Well, the country's going to hell in a handbasket, or wherever they would say, and then I'd say, well, it's our fault, and they'd look at me like I had two heads. This is democracy. We're the ones that elected these people, so we do own it. And one of the statistics that a lot of people aren't aware of, only 66% of the people vote for president. Less than 45% vote for mid-years, which has been our whole House of Representatives is being voted on by less than 50% of the people. And in local elections, you're lucky if you get 20%. So one of our responsibilities as a citizen of this country is to vote and to do our homework, not listen to Uncle Harry or whoever on your favorite TV station, but look at, did the person do what they said they were going to do? How many times have you heard a politician saying, I know I'm running for my 8th term and I haven't done what I said I'd do in the first term, but I need one more term? No, you need to be turned out.
That's a very good point. Well, I want to change the subject for a minute because we talked about overcoming adversity, and that's what we talk about here. And I think what we're talking about is a whole lot of adversity that needs to be overcome. Um, but you were going to tell me something else about yourself and overcoming adversity.
Well, my father was the principal of the junior high when I was in elementary school, and then he was principal of the high school when I went to junior high. And then he was the principal my first year of school. My sisters were all really good academics. Turns out I'm dyslexic. I didn't find that out until I was in my 40s, and probably I still have ADD. So I have to be one of the few people that got kicked out of their first grade class because the teacher and I didn't get along. But that's another story. But I, was always a lousy student, but always, would try and be the class clown or do some other way of getting recognition. Was okay in sports, not anything special. But I found in work, I started working, actually, I wanted to play Pee-wee football in the 6th grade, and my dad said, fine, you need cleats, go earn the money. And that was the first time I realized that I was really good at something. And I started working for people, simple gardening, pulling weeds, mowing lawns, etc. as a young kid. And then ended up working in retail and doing very well, and then involved with Sears in their executive program. And it was going, not willing to say, I'm not a good reader, I'm not a good student, I give up. It was saying, I'm going to find my meaning. I'm going to find what I'm good at. And we're all good at something. And I can remember vividly, same year, being asked to stand up and read Julius Caesar to my English class and bungling it, and standing out in front of Leon's Young Men's Shop in Palm Springs after a great day at work and selling and having fun, saying, I found something I can do that I'm good at. So I guess my story of overcoming is keep trying, keep spinning the dial. I know there's people who have much bigger problems than dyslexia, but there is a path forward if you keep moving. I just listened to a interview of the great football player Bo Jackson, who is mentoring kids. And somebody asked, well, how do you pick what kids you want to mentor? And he said, I mentor the ones that get off the couch. Success will not attack you. You can't sit at home and wait for somebody to come make you successful. You have to make yourself successful. You have to find your calling. And the best way to do that is action. I had several careers till I found my passion. I worked for Sears. I worked for a wholesale distributor. I worked in the design and graphics business. I worked in the vending business. I worked in the publishing business. And then at 41, found Vistage, which turned out to be my calling. But you've got to be willing to quit. I quit a number of jobs because I didn't like the culture. I didn't like the direction the company was going in. So I was willing to take that risk and rely on myself to find why I'm here. And as it turned out, it was being a Vistage chair.
That's awesome. I mean, I think some people might have a misconception that if they have dyslexia, they couldn't do many of those things you just listed.
Well, as you know, I've written 3 books, and here's what happened. I went through the Johnson O'Connor Foundation. They'd given me a scholarship. I had 2 days of intensive aptitude test, and my vocabulary was low. My reading was low. There were other things that were low, but I found out that when they did I think it was called idiphoria, that I was in the upper 98% of creativity. So I had to just stop and say, okay, what I can't do cannot get in the way of what I can do. And as you know, Dina, as a facilitator, sometimes you have to stand in front of the room and write on a flip chart, which I did. And my groups were really, we had a lot of fun. I used to say, if you can't spell something in 3 different ways, you're not very creative. We'd laugh and we'd move forward. But I admitted my weaknesses, and I tried to leverage my strengths. And creativity, turns out 3 books later. Now it helps to have a wonderful life partner who's an incredible editor, because anybody like you who's written a book, it's write, edit, 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 edit. But you just can't stop. Keep moving.
It's true. It's very true. Well, so tell me about Tampa Bay Watch. What is that?
Tampa Bay Watch is an education and restoration nonprofit. We have a discovery center at the St. Pete Pier. You all come down and visit St. Pete and go out in the discovery center that talks about the bay and the ecology, and you can see seahorses and all sorts of animals that in tanks. And then part of that is you can go out on our eco vessel, and we go out and we're allowed to pick up things from the bottom of the bay and bring them up and have you see pufferfish and live seahorses. And it's just a great way to understand how the whole bay's ecosystem works. The other part is we educate, go to schools, and we have a van that goes around and educates kids about the bay, and then we have a lot of summer camps. The other thing we do is restoration. We build oyster reef balls and put them around the shorelines that are eroding. We've been working at MacDill Air Force Base for almost 20 years and restoring that coastline there. And you can see the pictures before and after where there were no mangroves, and then now that we've been adding those, the mangroves are coming in. Put down oyster shell bags. And what I didn't know is that oysters, a little mature oyster filters 50 gallons of water a day.
Wow.
And we have put out hundreds of thousands of them. And I think we now in Tampa Bay clean 1 billion gallons of water a day. My scientific friend says it's only about 875 million gallons a day. That's a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
And we clean fishing line and do shoreline pickup. And we also plant seagrass as a part of our restoration program. It's a wonderful program, a lot of wonderful volunteers. It's just it really helped me solidify some of the thoughts in my book, is to see just how much value the volunteers get out of being part of something bigger than themselves. And the difference they're making is huge.
Yes. I think it's kind of between that and your book and what we do, there's a lot of similarities, because it's really about letting people know they're not alone in some way, but
Yeah.
also like having a community that people can get involved in. And if we just all stay in our silos and look at our screens, we're never going to, have that human connection and that community and conversations that keep us healthy and, engaged.
Yeah, I think, we're having a mental health crisis, however you want to measure that. I'm not a scientist, but we know that there's a lot of unhappy, disengaged people. And one of the things that I advocate for is turn off the TV, turn off the computer, go outside, volunteer for Tampa Bay Watch or a similar program, Habitat for Humanity, coach your grandsons or your kids' little league team, but get out off the couch and be part of something bigger than yourself, because that is what being a human is about, and part of being in a tribe is about. Um, and I think that, you have studied this more than I have, but being validated, being cared about, having conversations, that's huge, and a huge part of what we need as humans. But once again, success can't attack you because you got to get off the couch, and happiness will not attack you. It's up to you.
That's true. I don't know a percentage or anything, but I do think that a large percentage of people who die by suicide um, do so because they feel like either no one cares, no one understands, or they just don't want to ask for help.
I don't know if I shared with you before, but I lost my sister to suicide, and she was a very successful teacher, art teacher, um, and then had a relationship with a guy she married and stopped working, and then that didn't work out, and she wanted to go back to teaching. And in those years, it went from everything being on paper and writing and applying on paper, went to doing everything on computers, and she had a hard time with that. And I think she felt unneeded and felt detached. And I think that I talked to her probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks before she did it, and she sounded down, but I had no idea. I mean, she was in Wisconsin, I was in Florida, so couldn't see her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a part of it, she needed to be needed, and she had incredible experience. She had several of her kids get major scholarships through art. She was actually in the Chicago Art Institute, one of her pieces, so she was obviously accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
But she lost that meaning, and I think that's what depressed her.
Yes, I can relate.
We can all do something. We can go down to the animal shelters and walk a dog. I mean, there's a million different things you can do. Even go donate blood. Somebody's going to benefit from that.
Yeah, the dog shelter, just I don't know how much I can do that. It just breaks my heart, and I just want to take them all home.
Yeah, right.
But
That could be expensive. they
yeah,
like they like to eat.
hmm but I do think you're right. It's just when people are in a dark place, one thing we really advocate for is just check on your friends. If somebody crosses your mind, you should reach out to them because there's a reason. Like when somebody's in that place, I can attest to the fact that you feel alone. You don't feel like anybody really understands or cares, and you don't feel like there's hope. And
Right.
so when you're in that place and somebody texts you and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," it kind of gives you meaning, like
Yeah.
you were saying before. And so I think it's really important that we just check on our friends. And somebody said to me the other day, like, you know, they don't check on their strong friends because they're strong and they're fine. But usually the people who struggle with suicidal ideation the most are our strong friends. They're veterans, they're men,
Right.
they're, you know, people who are pillars in your community that you think, everybody else has problems, but they got it figured out. That's not always true.
No, I have two cases of really good friends who were very successful. And for reasons you wonder after the case, pardon me, they committed suicide, and I was just blew me away. And this is somebody I'd been with 2 days before talking about. He said, "I've got this plan to take care of this problem I'm working on." Well, I didn't know what it was. The plan was to take his life. He was running from an accusation that turned out not to be true, but it just crushed him. And I think he felt alone. Although I used to see him pretty regularly, but apparently not enough. And yeah, you don't know the demons, but I know. Yes, I'm pretty good at keeping track of my friends. I've developed several groups that we meet regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But also when you're in that position where you're feeling desperate, it's easy for me to say, but pick up the phone and call somebody. They want to hear from you. So part of it's taking action yourself, but I know it's hard. The cell phone has to feel like it's a 10-pound brick to pick up. But
Yeah.
people love you. You know, we need each other. What's a big part of unity and service is helping people understand we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's this cultural thing. They think milk comes from the market, and they think that everything just is kind of, you push a button. Now with Amazon, you push a button and heck, you don't even need to go to the market.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that means, well, I don't need the farmer. I don't need the person, building the car or whatever it is. No, that's not true. We need each other. We need the guy in the farm. We need the guy or gal, picking the eggs out of the baskets of the chicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's how we survive.
it's true. But I think that the young generation now never sees any of that unless they're in a family that has a farm. Like they don't. No, I grew up in Louisiana between a dairy farm and a chicken farm.
That that had to be kind of exciting if the wind was blowing in the wrong direction sometime.
Yeah. But I mean, I grew up in a place where I saw that happen.
Right.
And so you think you just go to the grocery store and get whatever you want, but you have to think about where does all that come from and who makes it and where, all those things.
And who gets in the truck and drives it from, to New Orleans from where you were,
Mm-hmm.
so people can have it. No,
That's true.
we're interdependent. And I worry about technology giving us a feeling that we're not. And I don't know if you've heard of it. There are now people who are having relationships with AI. And, to me, that's very scary.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's cool that we have great technology, but it's like, how far should that go?
Yeah.
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 So
Now,
what, I'm just wondering what sparked you to write the book, Unity and Service.
well, I think it was, listening to the news, watching it just seemed like over the last 20 years, people have become more siloed. I can remember as a kid, a good family friend was wanted one president. This was JFK, and the other, my parents wanted a different person. That was Nixon. So we're going a long time ago, 1960, 61. But we got together on election night, and we were in California then, so you could hear the results, unlike being on the East Coast where, 4 in the morning you find out. And we went to a party at their house, and they had the Saturday Evening Post covers. They had both presidents. One hat, they were rolled up so you could see half. And then as the votes came in, they rolled the halves back and forth. And it was just, it was fun. And we all realized that, this is our country. And when JFK won, generally everybody said, okay, he's our president. Let's support him. We want him to be successful. Well, now when a president gets elected, the first thing the opponent says is, I'm going to fight we're going to keep them from being, what the heck is this all about? It's country first, not party first.
Mhm.
And so that whole culture of separation, and as you probably know, in battle, like in World War II, we had to dehumanize the Japanese. We had to dehumanize the Germans to kill them. And when you dehumanize your opponent politically, I mean, right now I just listened to an NPR conversation this morning. I was driving to my appointment, and they were talking about how more and more people think that violence is okay against the opposing political party. That ain't healthy. I mean, I can tell you on more one occasion when I mentioned talking to people around the country in RV parks, more than one said, we're on the verge of a civil war. And that is a very unhealthy way to look at the world. And nobody wins a war. Nobody
No.
wins a civil war. Brothers against brothers, sisters against sisters. I pray that we don't get anywhere close to that. But the whole mentality of, well, yeah, if you don't like the opponent, we should just take them out. Not healthy.
I think the people who are in that mind need to go read about the Civil War, because um, or watch oh man, the name of the movie, Scarlett O'Hara.
Gettysburg. Gettysburg.
No, not Gettysburg. I mean, that one would be good too, but I can't remember the name of it.
There's Gods and Generals. First full measure.
The Old South movie with Rhett Butler and
Oh, Gone with the Wind.
yeah, Gone with the Wind. So I grew up in Louisiana,
Right.
and I was born in '70. So like we went to the movie to see that, like, and it was eye opening. Even in a movie that was supposed to be just a drama, fun movie, there was stuff in there about the Civil War too that was scary. And I think
Yeah.
I remember seeing that as a kid, and and feeling awful about what happened. And so I think the problem is that the generations that are coming up haven't lived through anything or probably seen much of anything like that.
Right.
And it gives them, we all have this false sense of security.
Right. And it's abstract to them. And if they play video games, everybody that got killed in the last game is back in the next game. And, that's not the way it works. I forget what General said. Those that think war is a good solution to any problem have never been in war.
Mhm.
They've never been on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Nobody wins a war. What happens is the other side gives up when they've lost hope that they can win, but both sides lose, treasure, people, wonderful people that will never have a chance to grow fully and contribute. It's a
Yeah.
terrible, terrible waste of human potential and capital.
Yeah, it's true. My grandfather was in World War II, and my uncle was in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the Navy, so he was on the ship that dumped all the helicopters so they could bring all the kids. I never can remember the name of the boat. But,
Uh-huh. But it was a ship that had helicopters on it that they brought people back to for hospital.
well, no, they were rescuing all these kids,
Oh, Vietnamese kids.
and they didn't have room on the boat, so they
Yeah.
dumped helicopters in the ocean so they could rescue these kids.
Wow.
But yeah,
Now,
I
what?
think
Yeah.
people just don't, like you said, if people haven't been involved in something around war, like they just don't understand how awful it can be.
You are correct. Let's hope we don't have to hope we don't have to address that in
Yeah.
this country anytime. If the Civil War would, and the irony of it is, we'd be fighting each other, and all that would do is get China and North Korea and Russia to expand their footprint, uh, and it would really devolve into a global confrontation, because we're,
Yeah.
like it or not, we're still kind of the glue that holds the West together. And if
No.
we're fighting each other, there's no glue left.
I mean, I think maybe some people are getting the gist of war right now with some of the things that are going on in this planet. Um, but it's easy to say, "Oh, that's happening on the other side of the globe," and
Right.
I don't understand it. I don't know why. I don't know what it's like. But when it's in, this whole the European Union is finding out a little more about what it looks like,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that that gets resolved soon. But I mean, maybe we should talk more about voting and getting involved with what you believe in instead of the negative part.
Well, if you think about it, as a citizen, the first thing we owe each other is working together for mutual defense, for law and order. In our own country, we're watching some crazy things go on recently, and a society cannot maintain that. So, as a responsible citizen and responsible citizens, it's up to us to put people in office that will not tolerate the violence, and that they will use the laws to protect all of us. And then the next thing, as I talked about, is voting, but it's not just going to vote, it's taking time to figure out who the best candidate is, what have they done, uh, good and bad, and never, never, never listen to what they say, only watch what they do. How many times have you had watched somebody say blah 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 X, and then when they get in office, they do the exact opposite? Those are the people we can't afford to have in powerful positions.
Yeah.
But getting out of the house and working together, you're going to build friendships. It's going to fill that need of feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. And there's a million things you can do. Even if it's just, there's a study that was done by Allstate Insurance. It just came out in the last 30 to 60 days. And it talks about trust. And as I think I mentioned earlier, trust is the foundation to all relationships. And it was amazing, and these percentages will be off a little bit. Something like 25% of the people don't even know their neighbors. They don't talk to them. They don't even wave to them. And shame on us. We need to get to know our neighbors. Whether we agree with them or not, we need each other. Electricity goes out, your wife has a heart attack, or one of the kids gets hit on the bicycle and you need to get to the hospital. How many times in good neighborhoods do everybody get together and pitch in, or feed the kids while you're at the hospital? Well, if you don't know each other, you're not going to do that. You're going to say, it's not my problem. Well, it is I can't remember who said it. I think it was Hillary Clinton who said, it takes a village. And it does take a village.
It does.
Um, so I think my ask is that we take the time to get to know each other, invest in a relationship. So when you need it, it's there. When you need a friend, it's too late to get one. After I wrote the book, uh, I wrote a poem. As you may know, in the book, there's a number of poems. But this, I think, speaks to what we can do. It's called Micro Validations. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. English proverb. Microclimates, microbiomes, microaggressions. We live in a microclimate. Microbiomes live in us. Microaggressions are part of life. What we need more of are micro validations or more micro affirmations. We've become trapped in our silos. We've become contemptuous of those who don't agree with us. They must not be human. Our country, our cities, our friends have been divided. We can't keep distancing ourselves from each other. We must all hang together, or most assuredly we will hang separately. Benjamin Franklin. Our grandchildren, our children need us to hang together for the future. A healthy democracy requires its citizens to work together to remain free. A healthy democracy requires the need to see our interdependence and break down the barriers that divide us. We need each other. Start with micro validations. Open the door for someone and say hello. Talk to your neighbors. Look people in the eye and acknowledge that they exist. Reconnect with each other. Affirm the humanness in everyone.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's on my website,
Mm-hmm.
unityandservice.org.
I will make sure that's in the notes.
Feel free to take it, print it, steal it.
It's funny because it's what we've been talking about this month for Suicide Prevention Month is like check on your friends and family and loved ones and be kind and just like you said, open the door for somebody, say hello to somebody. Like it doesn't take a lot of time, but we just are so glued to our phones that we don't talk to people, and we've got to do something about that.
It's used as a way to protect yourself. I'm convinced, and I walk a lot all over the country, that some of the people on the phone talking, they're not talking to anybody. They're just trying to avoid connecting with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of my fun things that I did in our loop is I'd walk, try and walk about 15,000 steps a day. So that's a lot of walking. And in a place like Chula Vista, which I did a lot, each day I'd try something different. And some days I'd say hi to everybody, and I think 2/3 or 75% of the people would ignore me. The ones that acknowledged would light up like a Christmas tree. Other days I'd say nothing and just smile, get a smile back every once in a while. Um, but this disconnection is dehumanizing each other.
Yeah.
We were sitting at dinner last week, Deb and I, and we're looking across, and there's this little girl with her mom and dad eating dinner. She has a stand for her phone watching some kind of games, and the parents are their nose down in their phones. What a tragedy.
Yeah, it's true. It's it's that human connection that I always talk about. It's like if we don't have that, we don't feel like we're worthy, or we're like we just don't have that secure feeling when we don't have human connection, especially with our family.
Yeah, yeah. We need each other. And all of us know families that because of politics, they won't go to Thanksgiving anymore. What?
It's
Really?
crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's like two people who are like, I like red and you like blue, so I can't talk to you. Like, just don't talk about red and blue. Just
Yeah.
have a conversation about something else.
Or tell me what you love about blue, and don't criticize it. Just listen. Part of it is just listening to the other side. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the greatest way to show that you care is just listen and
Mhm.
ask questions about what they said, not stating how you feel. Well, I like blue because it reminds me of the sky. Would you like a night sky or a morning sky? I mean, there's just, you question the answer and keep digging. And at some point in time, they're going to feel heard, which means they're going to feel validated. They're going to feel like you see them. And that's
Mhm.
the game,
Yeah,
is to see others.
that's true. And like you said, everybody's so busy attacking each other that they can't even have a minute to have a conversation like that.
Right. And I promise you this, I guarantee you this. If you start opening the door, if you start smiling to people and saying hello and start waving to your neighbors and get to know your neighbors, you will be more healthy mentally and you'll be more happy. Promise.
It's true. I do. I know because I do it. But I think it's also hard when you're not in person. Like people are, in their homes or by themselves, and they're not even in an arena where there are other people they can interact with.
Well, that's why, people, instead of buying groceries from Amazon, you should go to the grocery store. You're going to run into somebody and say hi, and then you'll meet a few other people. One of the things, being 6'2", when I'm walking the grocery store, see little people trying, little old ladies typically trying to get the stuff, I get it for them, hand it to them, and say, "Is there any place you need anything else from the top?" It makes me feel good, and they love it.
Yeah, it's true. Um, I have to share this because I've been feeling the whole time I need to. I just I just got involved with this new community concept,
Uh huh.
and it's about building communities and cities all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And communities for several reasons. One is because of loneliness, like we're talking about. One is because of like businesses networking or finding trusted businesses that you want to buy from or do, you know. And that again goes back to the Amazon thing. Like we need to have supply chains in our cities, not just from global companies,
Right.
because if something happens again, like COVID or just anything that happens, we need to be sustainable in our city.
Yep.
And so this organization I'm getting involved in, it's called People for People. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really just about building community and supporting each other. And it's for exactly what we're talking about. And it's really cool. So if there's anybody listening to this that wants to know more about that, just reach out to me and
Well,
I'll let you know.
yeah, or send me a link or something so I can look at the
Yeah, I
web.
will. I'll give
Love,
you some
love,
information.
yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Well, do you have any last words for our audience?
Get off the couch, just go outside and say hello to your neighbors and connect, connect, and give back. Go volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. You will be better off. I promise.
Mm-hmm. And for all the young people looking for someone to have a relationship with, you're going to find the person in places like that
That's right,
better than you're going to find on your phone.
for sure. That's an absolute. Someone once said, if you're looking for somebody, go do what you love, and someone who loves it too will show up.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's a
true.
great point.
Well, I'm excited for people to hear this conversation. I think it's a needed conversation.
No, I enjoyed it very much, Dina. I appreciate all the work you're doing. Keep it up.
Well, thank you, and you too.
All right, it's a deal.